So good morning, everyone. Good morning, STEM students. This is the module 9. What you need to know is about, after this module, you're expected to, number 1, to graph the logarithmic function. Then you have to determine the domain and the range of a logarithmic function. And then we have to determine also the intercepts, zeros, and asymptotes of the logarithmic function. So parang ito na yung IZDRAG. So that is of logarithmic function. Intercepts, the x and the y intercept, the zeros, the domain, the range, the asymptote, the vertical, and the horizontal, as well as the graph. So, and I hope you will learn a lot today. So, that started with the what's in. In our previous lesson, find the value of y, log of x base 2 if x is 2. So log of 2 base 2 is equal to 1. So therefore, we write here y is equal to 1. Log of x base 1 half is equal to 1 if x equals to 1. So log of 1 base 1 half, what is our answer? Of course, here y is equal to 0. Okay. And log of x base 3 if x is 3, of course, 1 ito. So therefore, y is equal to 1. So log of x base 3, if x equals 27, of course, 3 to the power of blank is equal to, question mark yan, is equals to 27. So therefore, by the law of exponent, we got 3 cubed is equals to 3 cubed. Or we have here x, 3 to the x is equals to 3 cubed. And therefore, because x ito, because that is the exponent, that is a question mark, then we say that x is equals to 3. So therefore, here, y is equal to 3. So in here, y is equal to 3. Okay? Then log of x base 4 if x is equals to 1 over 16. So we know that 1 over 16 is 4 to the negative 2, no? Because that is 1 over 4 squared, and that is equal to 1 over 16. So the logarithmic is a one-to-one function. Why is it one-to-one? Because this is inverse of the exponential function, and it satisfies with the horizontal line test. So the domain and the range may change depending on the transformation of the equation, but primarily, we have f of x here is equivalent to the log of x, okay, base b, where x is greater than 0, where b is also greater than 0. Okay? So, dito, kailangan greater than 0. Ito, dapat greater than 0. But this f of x, this range, could take any real number. Bakit? Kasi, pwede naman itong negative. Ito ay magiging negative ang value if x is less than 1, but greater than 0. Okay? Ang result kasi nito ay mga negative. So, that means f of x could be negative. And if that is greater than 1, if x is greater than 1, this one, or say b is greater than 1, we can say that b here could be greater than 1. And therefore, if b is greater than 1, then you have f of x is positive. So that is increasing. So it must be greater than 0. So as of June 6, 2020, the total coronavirus cases in the Philippines is 21,340, starting a single person last February 15, 2020. Based on the graph, since coronavirus came to the Philippines, is the flattening of the curve achieved? Well, the graph never achieved the 100K number of cases. So we know that this graph is the graph of the logarithmic. So ang ating graph ng ating transmission of the coronavirus is logarithmic. Bakit? Kasi we will say that this is a flat curve. Ma-attain natin yung flat curve. That means wala nang transmission if there is a constant value of f of x. So that means naka-flat curve na tayo. When will that be? So hindi pa natin alam. What is it? So let's start with graphing of a logarithmic function. So for example, y equals log of x base 2. We know that 2 here is the multiplier, and this is our machine multiplier, and x here is the result of our powers, and y is our exponent. So therefore, if we have log of x base 2 is equal to y, and x is equal to 1 over 16, therefore, log of 1 over 16 base 2, which is equal to negative 4. The exponent of 2 must be negative 4 to have 1 over 16. So therefore, if we have log of x base 2, where x is equals to 8, and therefore we have log of 8 base 2, and therefore y must be equal to 3. So Similarly, on these cases, we have these values of y with respect to the values of x. So we can solve for that, assuming the values of x is 1 over 8 and so on. Then we can find the value of y using the logarithmic or exponential by transformation. Then assuming the value of y, say for example, in here, we write here that log of y, so for example, y is equals to log of x base 2. When this value becomes 0, of course, paging maging 0 yan, the exponent of any variable or any value except 0, 2 to the 0 is equal to 1. So therefore, the value of this logarithm must be equal to 1. So therefore, we have here y is equal, if x equals 2, so for example, log of 2 base 2, y is equal to 1. If y is 0, then x must be what? 2 to the 0, this must be 1. So therefore, ang ating y magiging 0, we have x is equal to 1. Okay? Possible ba na mag-0 ang ating x? It's not possible. Why? Because x must be greater than 0 to be defined. Okay, similarly, assuming that y is equals to 0, then the 0 is equals log of x base 2, and therefore 2 to the 0 equals x, and thus x is equals to 1. Take note, you can use any of the given technique above, assuming x and y, and we call this one as finding the x and y intercept. So when we have this graph of log of x base 2, this is the graph of log of x base 2, is equal to y. So alam natin that the x-intercept here, or we say that using the x values and the y values, you can form the coordinate, or we can form an ordered pair. We have 1 over 16, negative 4, 1 over 8, a negative 3, 1/4, a negative 2, 1/2, negative 1, 1, 0. So the ordered pairs are follows, 1, 0, 2, 1, 4, 2, and so on. So when this one are plotted in the points in the Cartesian plane, ito yung ating forma. So we have the dotted points here. We have 8, 3, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 0, and we have this negative as 0, base is less than, or x is less than 1 or greater than 0. By connecting this, we've got this graph. So titingnan natin, by looking at this graph, what is your observation? It can be observed that this function is defined for any x greater than 0. Okay? The function is strictly increasing at this point and attains all real values. So that means kung sa x tayo titingin, ang ating x dapat greater than 0 lang kasi wala po tayong graph sa kabila. Kung titingnan din natin ang up and down, ang y natin may negative, may positive, at saka may 0. It means lahat po ng real number ay makuha niya as the value of y. So as x approaches 0 from the right, the function decreases without bound to negative infinity. Bakit? Kasi this is our asymptote. An asymptote here is our fixed line that is x equals 0. Is our vertical asymptote. So let's define first the domain and range. Usually, a logarithm consists of 3 parts. We have here log of a base 10 equals b. So ang ating 10 dito, this is our base. Ang a natin dito is called the argument and b is called the answer. Or we call this one as the exponent. Kasi naman, usually the logarithm, the value of that is the exponent. And this is our argument. Or we say this is our power or argument. So a logarithmic function is defined only for positive values of arguments. So it means if the logarithmic function is y equals log of x base b, then the domain of the logarithmic function is x is greater than 0. So always po ito ang titingnan. Kung gaano ito kadami, it could be a binomial, kukunin lahat, equates greater than 0. Example, log of 2x minus 3 base 4 is cos f of x. So, to get the domain, kukunin talaga ito, whole. 2x minus 3 must be greater than 0 to be defined. Therefore, x must be greater than 1/2. That is the first, okay? Then, the second way to determine the domain is to have to set up the inequality showing the argument greater than 0. Then, solve for x, write the domain in the interval notation. So, in solving for x, there are many cases. Pwede tayong maggawa ng table of values where there is negative, there is positive, and 0. And you can really find na hindi talaga siya, yung kanyang argument must be greater than 0. Kasi kung mag-negative siya, it is not defined. Or wala tayong value. Yung sa calculator, ang isulat niya ay math error. So for example, we have here that we set x plus 3 must be greater than 0. And therefore, x is greater than negative 3. That is our domain. And therefore, in the interval notation, we can write here, hindi kasali ang negative 3, pero yung boundary natin to positive infinity to that one. Okay? So I think we're done with the domain. Now we proceed to the intercept, zeros, asymptotes, and logarithmic function. The intercepts can be x or y. The x-intercept is the abscissa of the point A0. That means, ano ang value ng A or x if y is equals to 0? Therefore, f of x must be 0. What is the value of x? That is our abscissa or the x-intercept. And it is the shortest distance. Similarly, the y-intercept is the ordinate. That is 0b. That means, ano ang value ng y if x equals to 0, where the graph crosses the y-axis. It is also the shortest distance from point 0b to origin. It is the y value when x equals 0. So sometimes it does not exist, and sometimes if that does not exist, then we write none. Zeros are the root. So zeros is also called the x-intercept of the logarithmic function. Okay. So whatever our x-intercept, that is our 0. Say, for example, we've got y is equals to log of, this is the transformation actually. Log of x minus h base b plus k. It is the line of graph approaches but never touches. X equals h is our vertical asymptote. We'll define this one later on kung bakit siya naging vertical asymptote. And always, ang x natin must be greater than 0. And therefore, kung ang argument natin ay x minus h, therefore x minus h must be greater than 0, or x equals h is our vertical asymptote. Say, look at the graph of log of 5, log of x minus 1 base 5. So, alam natin that x minus 1 here must be greater than 0. Therefore, x must be greater than 1. So, to that, to find the x-intercept, kasi po ang ating equation ay y is equals to log of x minus 1 base 5. So, ang ating y ay gagawin nating 0 to find the x-intercept. Okay, we set y is equals to 0. It means what is the value of x. And therefore, this is equal to log of x minus 1 base 5. And this is now the base. This is the exponent. And you've got base equals to x minus 1. Okay? So, kung makuha na natin ang base, matanggal na itong log because this is the argument. And therefore, 1 is equals to x minus 1. And therefore, 2 is equals to x. This is our x-intercept. Okay? So, paghanap naman ng y-intercept, it means from the table of values, you have the point 2, 0. Kasi ang x natin ay 2, that is the x-intercept, and the y is 0. So, the point referred is 2, 0, but the x-intercept is 2. To find the y-intercept, simple lang po ang ating gagawin. Y is equals to log of, katulad pa rin ng ating polynomial function base 5, ang ating x ay isa-set natin na 0. So therefore, y is equals to log of 0 minus 1, which is negative 1 base 5. And we know that this one is undefined, and therefore, x or the y value or the y-intercept does not exist. Wala siyang y. It means, hindi siya doon maka-intersect sa y-axis. Tama, no? It does not exist. We write none. Okay. Hence, the x-intercept is 2. We'll solve for x if y equals 0. So, wala po tayong, so for example, y equals log of x minus 1 base 5. The x-intercept here is 2. Okay. The 0 is also 2. The y-intercept naman, so yun yung kinuha natin kanina, we solve for y if x equals 0. So, y is equals to log of x plus 2 base 2. So, we set, simple lang talaga, we set x is equals to 0. So, log of 2 base 2. Kasi 0 plus 2 is equals to 2. That means log of 2. Therefore, pareho na sila by the property that is equal to 1. So, therefore, the y-intercept is 1. Ayan, that's correct. There is another way of writing this one. We know that 2 to the 0 equals 1. Okay. So, therefore, we have, or 2 to the 1 equals 2. Okay. So what's more, we have here graphing logarithmic function. To graph, for example, y equals log of x base 3. So, ano ba ang value ng x? Mapapansin natin sa logarithm, mauna ang y kaysa x or mauna ang x kaysa y? What do you think? So, if x is negative 3, mas madali kasi makuha ang x kung meron tayong y. So, for example, y equals negative 3. Automatic, that is 3 to the negative 3. So, that is 1 over 27. No? And if x is negative 2, that is negative 2, that is equals to 3 to the negative 2, that is 1 over 9 kasi 1 over 3 squared. And this is 1 over, kung ano naman siya, balik pa kita ulit-ulit. If y equals 0, negative 1, if that is negative 1, then that is 1/3. If 0, that is 1. If 1, that is 3. If 2 is equals 9, and then 3, 27. Okay? So, kung 1/4 x naman, okay, the same pa rin. But when we look at this one, 1/4 raised to the power of negative 3 is equals to 64. Yeah, kasi that is 4 to the negative 1 to the power of negative 3. That is 4 cubed. No. Yeah, 4 cubed. That is 4 times 4 times 4, 64. Then we have 1/4 raised to the negative 2. That is equal to 60. And for 1/4 raised to the power of negative 1, then that is equal to 4. And 0, 1/4 raised to the power of 0 is 1. 1/4 raised to the power of 1 is 1/4. 1/4 raised to the power of 2 is 1 over 16. 1/4 raised to the power of 3, that is 1 over 64. So as you can see, this one is a decreasing, this one is an increasing in trend. So just looking at this value of our base, we can really identify if this is a growth or this is a decay, no? So, to find the domain, of course, alam na natin. To find the range, ang kukunin natin is, we set the value of y. Kung ano ba ang possible value ng y. Pero always natin tinitingnan na ang y, yung tinitingnan natin is the graph, is the y-axis. Taas, baba lang. Possible na by negative, possible na by positive, possible ba na ay 0. So, in here, log of 2x is equal to y. We know that this one are all common natural logarithm or common logarithm. Therefore, these are base 10. So, that means 10 to the y is equals to 2x. Okay. So, ang question ko is, ano ang domain natin? Of course, ang domain natin dito must be greater than 0. 2x must be greater than 0. Dividing by 2 still, we've got x is greater than 0. How about our range? Our range actually is any real number. Bakit? Kasi if x is greater than 0, that means less than 1 are also negative. Oh, let's try. If x is negative is 0.00001. So therefore, you've got 2 times 0, which will give you a negative value. Log of less than 1 is negative. So therefore, our range is all real number pa rin. So all are. Okay? Ang ating domain ay ito lang, x is greater than 0. This one, okay? So, ang ating gagawin sa domain ay we set x minus 5 is greater than 0. And ating range, all real number din. How about this? 4x plus 4. Ang ating open parenthesis ay dito. So, we will set 4x. So, dito ang ating domain dito, x is greater than 5. That is our domain. Ang ating range, pareho lang, all real numbers. This one, 4x plus 4 must be greater than 0. Therefore, x is greater than negative 1. And therefore, ang ating range din ay all real numbers. So, wala tayong problema dyan. Now, finding the x-intercept zeros and asymptote. Number 1, ang ating asymptote dito ay ito. Tama na? Which is equal to 1. So, we've got here, x is equals to 1. That is our vertical asymptote. Wala tayong horizontal asymptote in this case. This one is extended indefinitely without bound. So, that means yung positive, negative, at saka 0 natin na y, that means wala. So, that means ang ating range is all real numbers pa rin. Pero ang ating y dito, ang ating y are all real numbers. Ang ating x, kung ito yung vertical asymptote natin, dapat ang x natin must be greater than 1. No? That is our range. And we have here this one. Kung mapapansin mo, ito yung ating asymptote. Okay. So, we've got x is equals to negative 1. So, ang ating x-intercept ay dito, 0. So, the x-intercept here is 0. The y-intercept here is also 0. And this is the line that extends indefinitely without bound. So, that means meron tayong positive, may 0, may negative. And therefore, ang ating range ay all real number pa rin. Pero ang ating domain ay x is greater than -1. Kasi po siya ang boundary -1. Similarly, if you have here, this one, kung ito yon ang negative, this one is -4, so for example, that means ang x natin na equal to -4 is our vertical asymptote. Wala po tayong horizontal asymptote, and this one is decreasing without bound. So it means ang ating y, merong positive, may 0, may negative. So that means ang ating range ay all real number pa rin. Okay? And then ang ating domain ay magsisimula siya sa -4. So that means x is greater than -4. Okay? Now, in this number 4, what is our domain? X-intercept, Y-intercept. So, in here, alam natin na ito ay base 10, ito ay base E, ito ay base 10, and so on. So, what do you think? Can you give your answer now? Yes, okay. 10 to the power of y is equals to 2x plus 1. So, ang una nating titingnan, ang 2x plus 2 must be greater than 0. Therefore, x is greater than -1. No? So, x must be greater than 1. That is our domain. And our range are all real numbers pa rin. Kasi wala tayong addition sa kabila. Okay. And then, ang ating intercept, so kung magkuha tayo ng x-intercept, i-0 lang natin ang y, so 0 is equals to log of 2x plus 2, okay? Base 10, kasi meron yan siyang base na 10 kung wala siyang nakalagay. That is 10 to the 0 is equals to 2x plus 2. And therefore, you've got 1 is equals to 2x plus 2, and -1 is equals to 2x. Therefore, x is equals to -1/2. So, it means dito ang ating x-intercept ay -1/2. So, dadaan siya sa -1/2. How about our y-intercept? Meron ba tayong y-intercept? Yeah, meron tayo, no? Kasi if y is equals to log of 2 of 0 plus 1 base 10, of course, y is equals to log of 1. Alam natin ang log of 1 is equals to 0. So, therefore, our y is equals to 0. That means our y-intercept is 0. Okay, and so on. So, what I have learned, thank you. And I hope you can answer this one. True or false lang naman. And then, what can I do? Transmission rate. And then, this one is na-apply na natin sa ating application sa module 8. So, thank you so much, and I hope you can answer this. This one is an assessment. Okay. So, numbers 1, ABC, number 2, up to number 15. Okay. So, kindly write your answer, STEM on module 9. Okay. So, module 9, kindly answer number 1 to 15 without looking at the answer key. If you cannot, it's okay. That is our practice.